Chris Stevenson. How you doing, Chris?
What's going on, man?
All right. Hey, it has happened. We have an NFL lockout as of this moment when this is filmed. The NFL owners have locked out the players, and the players immediately before the lockout, hours before the lockout, went with their threat of decertification. They attempted the owners put forth a proposal to extend the negotiations and extend not having the lockout. But the players put stipulations on this one. It had to be accompanied by 10 years of audited financial information. The owners refused to do it. The players immediately filed an they decertified the union, and individual players filed antitrust lawsuits against the NFL.
Yeah, I think this decertification seems to be timely in the fact that I think yesterday was the deadline anyway.
Right.
Okay, so now they're going to approach it from the standpoint of they're just kind of like an independent firm that's fighting for the rights of the players. My concern with this was the last time it was done, it was around the 87 strike, the 1987 strike, and that was the strike, whereas this is a lockout. Okay, in other words, this is an owner's instigated event, but the last time they were decertified for like 2 years, up until 1989, and it caused a lot of division. And I remember that strike well because I didn't agree with it because I thought it was the most unnecessary strike there was, and they didn't get anything out of it really. And it caused a lot of division between players. Some of the players are talking about forming a new union.
What do you mean they didn't get anything out of it? They got free agency.
They got free agency, but the biggest thing that...
Wait a second. First they had Plan B, free agency.
Okay, yeah.
That first came out of it. That was a disaster. And then they basically had to go to free agency.
Yeah.
And the movement by now some players were absolutely unofficially barred from participation because of their stand for the right to be paid their value. You never heard from Freeman McNeil anymore. Mm-hmm. You never heard from Eric McMillan anymore. Right. The notables are the ones that reap the benefits that were part of that original suit, the Reggie Whites and a couple of others.
Yeah.
But the NFL owners have not disclosed the amount of profits they've made in good faith.
Right.
They have not taken care of the players that paved the way for this to be a $9 billion a year sport.
That's right.
I think this is a good thing.
Okay, it's a good thing, but understand one thing. Let's not forget, on one hand, it's an unavoidable fact, this is the owners' league. It's their league.
How's it their league?
They own the teams.
They own the team based on taxpayer revenue money.
Yes.
They own the teams. Yes, they're the owners that are... Basically, these owners are operators.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You
can own a store, but it's not going to stay open unless somebody buys something out of it.
Okay, but these are human beings, and they treat them like racehorses. That's what's wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they treat these guys, when they're done with them, they cast them out, they're done. Mm-hmm. You don't hear from these guys anymore. They wear helmets, you don't even know their faces.
Especially the old school players.
Yeah.
They're suffering
Half of them
right
are
now.
Disabled.
Yeah.
They're not making any money.
That's right.
Their pensions, these owners didn't provide proper 401k pensions.
And worst of all, Gene Upshaw sold them out also.
Absolutely.
In the last deal.
But now you've got a lawyer, executive director, who understands the law. He's a lawyer. I thought it was an excellent move for the players to decertify the union. Mm-hmm. He prepared for what the owners were trying to do. This was going to be a mass lockout that could have lasted much longer if Gene Upshaw was still running this union. But because DeMaurice Smith strategically filed a lawsuit against the owners from trying to get the TV revenue, regardless of a lockout. Yeah. And that judge ruled that as being illegal.
Yeah.
That put a monkey wrench in the owners and forced them back to the table. And then they wanted to come back to the table with their own philosophy and everything, thinking they could backdoor this deal.
Now, the owners got together a couple of weeks ago, and they struck this deal with NBC or CBS?
No, this was done. This was done with the language of the last TV contract from a year or two ago.
Right.
they made sure that the language stated that if there is a lockout or strike, the owners would still receive that year's TV revenue, which amounts to about $4 billion, which amounts to about $172 million per owner.
It could go up to $9 billion by my understanding.
It was called illegal by a judge, and that's what put a monkey wrench in the owners' plans. They were going to get paid this year regardless, and they were going to take a very aggressive stand towards the views that they wanted. They wanted an 18-game season. These are the Maverick owners I'm talking about. They wanted the 18-game season. They wanted, basically, they wanted the players to take an 18% pay cut. I don't know a union in the world that I pay dues to that would ask me to take an 18% pay cut. It's time to decertify or something. But this is a great thing, Chris, because now you've put the issue in the ballpark of where Demarius Smith is at home. He is at home. He's a litigator. He's a lawyer. It's now in the courts. And now that's where the players are.
Who are the, as you described, the Maverick owners? Name them.
Maverick owners. Jerry Jones. Snyder. Well, those are the principal Mavericks. Your big-time owners out of New York. That's where the big money owners. Snyder, Maverick, the owner out of Philadelphia. Those are who I call your Maverick new time owners.
Is Al Davis still a Maverick owner?
No. Maverick is old. Maverick does not describe Al Davis. Al Davis is old school.
He's old school.
But he's the first true Maverick owner. He represents, but he did it within the scope of the interests of the league. And his own interests too. But he didn't like what went down on the merger. He was basically X'd out of there because he was the commissioner of the AFL.
Yeah, he was.
And he was X'd out of there. He felt him and Pete Rozelle had static the whole time. In this case, I think your old-time owners are in a different ballpark than these new Maverick owners that have built these new stadiums that have all this overhead. These are the guys that have their own interests going, that are seeking other revenues to alleviate this massive debt that they've created. A guy like Ralph Wilson has no debt. He's living good.
He's living good.
He's in a small market.
And he still wants more.
And he wants more.
You know, Ralph thinks he is being, he's getting the short end of the stick.
Well,
because the city's it's not a large market.
No, but Ralph has no overhead. Ralph has subsidies coming from the city. He has subsidies coming from the county. He has subsidies coming from the state. It alleviates a lot of the out-of-pocket expenses that Ralph would have. And plus, Ralph has control of a stadium that is one of the older stadiums. It was recently renovated 12 years ago. He has a sweet deal in Toronto that he got $78 million up front. And Ralph is not doing that bad.
No, he's not.
He's not making the money of these Maverick owners, but he doesn't have the overhead either. And that puts Ralph in a very good position.
Now, the commonality between this lockout and the last strike, the '87 strike, is collective bargaining.
The collective bargaining agreement has once again, the owners opted out of the collective bargaining agreement, in which Ralph Wilson of the Buffalo Bills and Mike Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals were the only two owners that went against this deal. They said it's not a good deal for the owners. You're putting too much money in the players' hands. Now you've given the players a taste of so-called 60%, and it's not really 60% because the owners get $1 billion off the top. It's not really 60% going to the players. It's more of a 50-50 deal. And think about it. When you say 50-50, there are 1,500 NFL players. We're not talking about past players either. We're talking 1,500 current players. 50-50 to the players, 50-50, 50% to the owners. There's only 32 owners. So you're talking about 50% there, but they get $1 billion off the top for 32 owners. And then the rest of the pot goes to 1,500 players. That is not a 50-50 split.
No, and also understand it's still a phenomenal deal. that was
What's
done.
phenomenal? They're Chris.
This was
there are no guaranteed contracts. They treat these guys
Upshaw
like animals.
Upshaw negotiated this.
Criminal.
Upshaw
is a criminal.
Don't talk about the man. He's dead.
May he rest in peace. But Gene Upshaw sold the players out. It's not a good deal. It was not a good deal.
You don't think so?
It was not a good deal. The reason it's not a good deal,
and he did it.
Contracts
he did it without striking.
Guaranteed. That's good. He did a deal to keep labor peace.
Yeah.
He knew Tagliabue was trying to go out on top.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to keep labor peace during his reign, right?
Right.
During his reign, there had been no strikes. There's no problem. So Upshaw put together this deal where it looked like players were getting 50% of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not do good business for veteran players. Veteran players have been casted out like racehorses. When you got Sam Bradford come in the league, he gets $50 million guaranteed, and we don't know if he sucks or not.
Okay.
David Carr couldn't make it. He got big money.
David Carr,
Mike Williams for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
He sucked. He sucked. He didn't have the heart for pro ball.
But he
got $10 million. He's a millionaire.
Yep.
Jamarcus Russell. He didn't want to make the commitment to be a pro football player. He wants the glitz. You want everything, but he did not want the commitment. He gets $40 million guaranteed.
And believe it or not, he's bankrupt. I don't know what he's spending his money on.
He just doesn't want that house. That man's not bankrupt. He's trying to get out of the mortgage.
Oh, okay.
That's all he's trying to do.
I cannot see. How can a guy with $40 million in the bank?
What are you eating? What are you buying?
I'm telling you.
He doesn't
have any kids that I know of.
The problem that I'm seeing is that the deal on paper looks good, but it's unevenly yoked. It does not take care of the veteran players. The owners want to take the money, 18% of that money, and put it in their pockets. The veteran players are saying, hey, we need a rookie salary scale that, yeah, you want rookies to make their money. They're free agents. They have a right to make their money. But there needs to be a scale set whereas veteran players are not cast off like animals and are reaping the benefits of being a proven commodity in the National Football League. That's the biggest problem I see. There's not going to be an 18-game schedule. I can't see it unless there's an ultimate compromise.
You know something? I'll be honest with you. I'm in favor of 18 games.
Why? Are you crazy?
Because two preseason games need to be eliminated. Preseason is too long.
Preseason needs to be eliminated, period.
Training camp scrimmages and two preseason games, that's it.
What are you
That's all they need.
About?
That's all they need.
No.
Yes.
What needs to be eliminated is
Yes.
all these OTAs. There used to be 6 preseason games and 14 regular season games, and you didn't see these catastrophic injuries that you're seeing. These guys are bigger, they're faster, they stay in shape all year. What they need to do is eliminate the preseason period because you as a fan, you're paying regular season prices for glorified scrimmages. That is a problem.
You can 2 preseason games is all they need. That's it.
I don't have a problem.
I remember when it was 6. I remember when preseason was 6 games.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If there are 2 preseason games, you eliminate. If I'm a bargainer, I'd say you get rid of 2 preseason games. Give me 1 more regular season game at 17. That's what I would if I was bargaining. But the players, I've talked to the players.
Make it an even number.
The players, their bodies can't take the amount of pounding that's going on with 16 games right now. With 4 preseason games, listen to me.
The last 2 preseason games, the starters played the first half anyway. Most of the first half anyway.
That's the first 2 preseason games. The last 2 preseason games, the starters get more time.
Yes,
because
that's what I mean.
They're preparing for the season.
Right. So what's the difference?
The difference is that their bodies are being tore out the frame right now. This is a vicious sport.
Yes, it is.
To me, 16 games is plenty, and eliminate some of them OTAs. Eliminate 2 preseason games. Period. And you keep it at 16.
You get less quality football.
No, how can you?
You get less quality football.
They practice year round. You got an OTA in March. You got 2 weeks in April. You got 2 weeks in May. You got 2 weeks in June. Then you go to training camp. These these guys study year-round now. It's not a part-time sport.
I understand.
They stay in excellent physical condition year-round. These so-called off-season training activities are basically become, they're not voluntary.
Look,
they're mandatory if you want to get paid.
The CFL went to 18 games a couple of decades ago.
Who cares? They suck.
It can be done. That's what I'm saying.
It can't be
the
done.
The CFL is a heck of a good league.
It is not a good league.
Yes, it is.
It's a pitiful league.
No, it's not.
That's built on NFL cast-offs that are only trying to get back in the NFL.
There's still, those guys are good.
Oh, please. All right.
You see a merger,
if there's a player rep out there, would you please email this guy and tell him how many NFL players want to play 18 football games, regular season games?
Because it hasn't been done before. That's why.
Who wants to do it? You got guys that can barely walk. You got guys that are in the training room literally all day. I've gone in the Bills locker room where there's been 10 players.
Yeah.
Available for interviews. Where's everybody else? In the training room.
I understand.
This is not a physical. This sport is so physical. You can't do that.
I've been in the Bills and the Sabres locker room.
There's not a major NFL player that wants to play 18 games. There's not a citizen in this country that wants to pay for 18 games. What the NFL needs to do is drop the price of season tickets. You stop making your fans pay for 4. They make the fans pay for 4 preseason games and 8 regular season games at regular price. Is that fair for the preseason?
No.
You're paying regular price for a glorified screen.
But now, from now on, 2 of those games will be regular games.
No.
Under this rule.
You don't want.
So they'll be getting more. They'll be getting their money's worth.
Of course they'll be getting. Okay, the fans will be getting their money's worth,
yes,
allegedly.
Right.
And you're saying the players will be getting more money because players only get paid 17 times a year. You know that, right? With the current agreement, they get paid 17 times a year.
I didn't know that.
Yes. They get 17 game checks.
Okay.
With this, what you're talking about, adding 2 games,
yeah,
it would be 19 game checks.
Yeah.
And then they would probably eliminate the bye week, which gives players an opportunity to heal.
No,
this is a vicious sport.
No, you don't have to eliminate the bye week.
There's not a player. I have interviewed hundreds of players. There's not a player that wants to play 18 games.
You don't know that.
Who wants to play name one player?
I can't.
You can't.
But I know he's out there somewhere.
He's not out there.
He's out there somewhere.
You know
why?
Where.
Because he says I'm busting my. He says I'm busting my butt in the preseason for 4 games, and at least 2 of those games should be eliminated.
Football?
No.
No wonder you're wanting to play 18 games.
Except on Quay Street and Howard Street.
I played football.
Okay.
I've got aches and pains right now, and I haven't played in years. These guys are playing every day.
Did you get your 17 game check?
No. I didn't make it to that point because I was already busted out the frame.
You played for Bennett.
Yes.
You shouldn't get paid. They suck.
No, we were good then. But what I'm saying is, football is such a sport. The body cannot take 18 games. It can't. It's vicious. I love football. It is the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate sport of strategy and technique and coaching. But 18 games is a lot. It's a lot. And you should not make fans pay full price for preseason. I haven't heard that mentioned. If the NFLPA you want to talk about fans, tell the owners to stop charging full price for preseason games. We're going to talk more about this next week because I guarantee you
18 games.
The lockout will not be done next week. We'll talk more about that. Thanks, Chris. Here on the network. We'll see you next week.
Next week.